Hi there. Now we're going to do lesson 58, and lesson 58 is a review of lessons 36 through 40. First paragraph, lesson 36. My holiness envelops everything I see. Everything I see. From my holiness does the perception of the real world come. So for us to be inside of our holiness is when we actually get to really perceive the world that God has created, the real world. Having forgiven, I no longer see myself as guilty. This is one of the gifts of forgiveness. When we forgive ourselves for having looked at the world through the eyes of the ego and realized that we were just like children who put on a Halloween costume and we pretended that we were the ghost or the witch of Halloween and not the child who put on the costume. When we forgive ourselves for thinking we were a witch or a ghost, inside of that forgiveness, the behavior while we were pretending to be a witch and a ghost, we don't feel guilty about it because we know it was just a game done innocently out of simply forgetting our holiness. I can accept the innocence that is the truth about me. That's why I don't feel guilt about what I've done, because I know we all did it pretending to be something else, pretending to be an ego. But forgiving myself for having forgotten that allows me to return my mind into that innocent state where more often than not, I can perceive the real world outside of me, because I do see most of the time, sometimes my ego gets active, but most of the time, I see the innocence in everybody, which is why I don't need to judge them. There's compassion, there's kindness. It's just a natural thing because I'm seeing the world God created, a bunch of innocent, childlike beings. Seen through understanding eyes, the holiness of the world is all I see, for I can picture only the thoughts I hold about myself. We're always overlaying what I believe about me. If I believe I'm a witch, I'm going to overlay everybody out there is going to be somebody that is a witch I need to either overpower or hang out with, because it moves us into that darkened space where we can't see clearly what God created. So we're seeing darkly, and it's a world of fear. It's going to activate discomfort. That's why we are afraid of the witches and the ghosts, because they've been associated with negative things. So when you're believing that you're a negative thing, well, you're going to be seeing a lot of negative things until you shift your thinking to see the real world, which is what forgiveness does. Paragraph 2. My holiness blesses the world. The perception of my holiness does not bless me alone, again, because what I believe about me gets projected out. So if I'm blessing me, I'm automatically blessing and releasing the world. Everyone and everything I see in its light shares in the joy it brings to me. So everyone that I see in the light of this holiness, absolutely, not only do I enjoy the joy that they have, it's shared with me, but I'm sharing mine with them, so it gets multiplied. There is nothing that is apart from this joy, because there is nothing that does not share my holiness. God created everything holy. It's like I had my children. They are my children. But when they put on Halloween costumes, they don't cease being my children. They don't cease being holy children of mine. They just temporarily become convinced that there's something else, like a witch or a ghost. As I recognize my holiness, so does the holiness of the world shine forth for everyone to see. We have to see it in here first. We have to be the change, because when we no longer condemn anybody out there, we create a space that it is safer for them to begin to question their costumes, their ego stories. But if we are attacking them, they're going to get defensive. They won't be able to do that for themselves, because we haven't given them the permission to do that. So we give permission when we become kind and gentle and release the world from our judgments, which of course then allows us to feel no guilt. So let's go to paragraph 3. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. My holiness is unlimited in its power to heal, because it is unlimited in its power to save. The minute we release the world, we have saved the world from our judgments. It's like we have given them a hall pass, a permission slip to not have to worry about our judgments, because we won't be judging them once we recognize that we want to be holy, we want to be happy, we want to be joyful. What is there to be saved from except illusions? I don't need to save my children except from believing that they're a witch or a ghost. That's it. Halloween comes around, they take off the costume off, everything goes back to normal. But if they keep that costume and believe that that's what they are forever, we're going to have some problems. It's going to be an issue. That's going to be an illusion that we need to dissolve. And what are all illusions except false ideas about myself? The ego is nothing more than beliefs about me that are not true. It's things that I have imagined that have been passed down generationally, culturally. It's just the way we've been doing the world, but it is not the truth of the world. If I let my kids, just wear nothing but witches and ghost costumes for the rest of their lives, they'll really begin to identify with that. But it's not who they were to begin with. But if I don't take it off for the next, 30 years, they'll think they're witches and ghosts, and they'll have babies and they'll put costumes on their babies and tell their babies that they're witches and ghosts, all the while forgetting the innocence that is already there inherently because their mind got programmed to believe something that is not true. My holiness undoes them, all the illusions, undoes them all by asserting the truth about me. If you don't acknowledge the truth of your holiness, you don't have a home base to come to. If I don't let my children know you are, Lauren, Tony, Spencer, you are a boy, a girl, you are a holy divine being, then they don't know what they're returning to. If they get caught up in the illusion that they're just a ghost or a witch or whatever they might be dressing up as. So our job is to keep coming back to the truth. We have to remind ourselves what the truth is. In the beginning, we forget the truth. But later on, we're reading books, we're going to workshops, we're being exposed through curiosity or willingness to know that if there's something else other than what we know, we get exposed to truth. Our work is to begin to accept that truth as true and then shift into it. In the presence of my holiness, which I share with God Himself, herself, all idols vanish. Once you return to your home base and you know the truth, that you share with God because it's what God created you as, because my truth comes from God, not from me. Now, all the distractions, all the witches and the costumes, all of that begins to dissolve. The idols that we have created of something having power outside of us, those things don't necessarily go away, although they might from your experience, but now they have no power over me to pull me into that. Paragraph 4. This is for lesson 39, the review of my holiness is my salvation. Since my holiness saves me from all guilt, recognizing my holiness is recognizing my salvation. So I have to recognize my holiness because only that will remind me of my innocence, and only my innocence can save me. Because when I return to my innocence, I have no more thoughts in my mind that say I'm something other than what I am. So this is a journey about going backwards to reclaiming the truth of who we are. We're going backwards until we reach the place that we remember ourselves as one with God. And for most of us, that's going to happen before conception. But we have moments of experiencing that even after conception. So some of us will feel that when we were 1 or 2 or 3. But we have to return to that. Since my holiness saves me from all guilt, recognizing my holiness is recognizing my salvation. It is also recognizing the salvation of the world. So if I can return to my holiness, so can everybody else. Some of us remember this, some of us don't. Some of us are, this far in the journey. Some of us are this far, some of us is this far, but we're all moving back to remembering our holiness. Once I have accepted my holiness, nothing can make me afraid. Why would I be afraid of people in costumes, illusions that are not real? They may think it's real, but once I know they're not, I don't have to be afraid of them. Yeah, I may have to deal with some of the things that they do. Some of them won't be nice, but that doesn't have to instill fear. That can instill inside of me just an awareness of what to do so I can deal appropriately with those people. But not condemn them because they're like my children. They put on a costume and forgot to take it off. Is that really a sin? No, it's a mistake in identity. That's all that it is. Sentence 5 in paragraph 4. And because I am unafraid, everyone must share in my understanding, which is the gift of God to me and to the world. When I operate fearlessly for the most part, and people say, how come that didn't scare you? Your son taking drugs and dying didn't scare you. Sure, I had moments of fear, but overall, I wanted to set him free by recognizing his innocence and not blaming him. I'm not afraid of being alone. I'm not afraid of sickness. I'm not afraid of dying. I don't have those fears, because I know what I am is one with God, which God is energy. It's the energy of love that is pure consciousness, formless consciousness. My work in returning to my innocence, going back to before I was conceived, going to the point of creation, is because I want to live in the world but not of it. I want to create from consciousness, not reacting to what has already happened. So paragraph 5, I am blessed as a son, daughter of God. Herein lies my claim to all good and only good. See, I know. This being that appears to be Laina knows that I am blessed because I am a child of God. I am willing to claim all of that good because I know it. I feel it. I feel God in me. Why would I want to cut myself off from that joy, from that peace, that fun? I'm not going to do that anymore now that I know the truth. So all good things are mine because God intended them for me. See, God imagined this whole world for me to play with it. When we put on masks and we begin to forget who we are, and we begin to hurt each other, well, we're going through thousands of years of cleaning up those misperceptions. It's going to take time so that we can return to being holy, good, loving, kind, gentle, compassionate, cooperative with each other. But it's got to start with me because it feels good over here, so I'm doing it for me. And that goodness in me is what I use to see goodness in others so that I don't judge them. That way I can set them free. I cannot suffer any loss or deprivation or pain because of who I am. As pure consciousness, as pure energy, how can anything be taken from me? This life experience may end, but what I am is eternal, so nothing can be taken from me. Nothing can deprive me. There is no loss for me. My Father supports me, protects me, and directs me in all things because I don't listen to the voice of the ego to pretend that I'm what I'm not. I hear direct guidance from God. That is what guides me, protects me, tells me when to go here or go there. It's what allows me to feel my safety because it comes directly from the source. So my care, or his care for me is infinite and is with me forever. I am eternally blessed as his son, his daughter. That is my truth, and it is my source of peace. And if you do the work of A Course in Miracles, this is what it is leading you to train your mind to know the truth of who you are so you can take off the costume, take off the beliefs, the veil, all of the filters that distort our perception of truth so that we can see the real world that God created. And it really is a beautiful planet. We are literally in paradise. You know, they say in the story of Adam and Eve that they were in the kingdom. Well, we are in the kingdom. We've just distorted our perception, and only cleaning up our perception by remembering truth will let us all enjoy paradise. Truly, we are on a planet that is paradise. Thank you so much for participating in this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. We really are magnificent, holy, and meant to be happy. Thanks a bunch. I'll talk to you later.